Hey, podcast world. Welcome to another edition, another exciting episode of F&O InsureTech. We're here with our co-host today, Mr.
Is that my call? It's the Matt Fothery, the Matt Fothery. So, guest co-host. So you only let me come on to special occasions like this. So
That's right.
We're live. We're remote today. We're in Austin.
We're coming to you live from, isn't it the armadillo capital of the world?
Okay, I'll go with that. Sure. So
Okay. Also the capital of Texas, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh. The home of the Longhorns. Sorry.
That's
I
okay.
had to say that.
That's okay. The Longhorns are there. Yes. So,
But why are we in Austin anyways?
we're here to see a great new innovative insurance company today. And we are live on 6th Street, Austin, in a very innovative area of the Texas, visiting Hippo.
Hippo. Wow. You mean Hippo the animal or Hippo the InsureTech insurance company?
Well, I think we're here to visit the insurance company, although when we were waiting on the elevator downstairs, there's 6 floors to the building. I don't know if you've noticed, the one floor had a company called Black Lotus, one floor had Hippo, and another floor had a company called Frog. So I'm sure hoping that we are meeting with some insurance people today, because if not, then I don't know exactly what we've walked into.
Well, we are, and we're meeting with Mr. Darin McCarthy. Darin is the head of claims for Hippo Insurance, and Darin is an industry veteran who finds himself in a whole new world and way of doing insurance.
Fascinating. I'm excited today. This is, I think this is kind of the future of insurance, and we're starting to see this, these kind of companies pop up and starting to flourish. So
Yes.
I'm super excited about coming down here today and visiting with him and see what's going on in his world.
We have one of their competitors as a customer at 470, which is really cool. And it's really cool to hear about. It's going to be really cool to hear about Hippo and how they go about competing in a very competitive environment in a whole new school kind of way. So
Let's do this.
what do you think? Do that.
Let's do it.
Although this office is pretty awesome, isn't it?
It is extremely cool. So
Maybe we'll talk about that later. So without further ado, here's our episode with Darin McCarthy, head of claims at Hippo Insurance. Hey, podcast world. We are in Austin, Texas today. F&O InsureTech hits the road, and we are in the palatial offices of Hippo Insurance with Darin McCarthy. What do you say, Darin?
Hey, good to see you, Rob.
Good to see you. Tell us, the most pressing question we have for you, of all the questions we have for you, is what's with Hippo? Help us to understand Hippo Insurance.
Well, Hippo Insurance is an InsureTech homeowners insurance company. We write in 15 states currently, and we are on a trajectory to be nationwide in the next few years. And we essentially are taking the homeowners insurance process. We're making it a lot simpler, a lot more user friendly, a lot more customer centric, and we're taking the insurance world by storm.
So, give us 30 seconds on what it means to be the head of claims for an InsureTech homeowners company.
Well, it's very challenging. It's been definitely the best move of my career. Super excited about what we're doing. We are combining customer-centric focus in claims, along with smart claims handling techniques, being mindful of fraud, all the things that we need to do as far as our due diligence. But we're doing it in a way that is a little different than the traditional operators out there. We're looking at customers in a different way, putting our egos aside as adjusters, and just doing the best we can to be empathetic and provide the customer with what they expect. And that's I think something that's unique in the market these days, and we're having a good time doing it.
Mm-hmm. So one of the interesting things is the InsureTech label that you added to homeowners insurance. From a global look at Hippo, what does that mean that you're an InsureTech?
Well, for instance, on the onboarding process, we've taken away the 30 or 40 questions that a typical homeowners insurance carrier will ask for new business, and we've simplified it down to, I think, 6 questions. And from those 6 questions, we're able to use AI technology to pull in all of the other information plus some about this particular risk. So not only are we able to onboard business quicker, we're able to identify good business and onboard that business as well. So that's just one example of how we're using AI technology.
So, but you're looking at things like where the risk is, what are the weather patterns in those areas, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's dozens upon dozens of resources that we use to pull in information with regard to the conditions of the homes, the age of the homes, the age of roofs, the climate in which the house is, the dwelling is located. Just a tremendous amount of information that would take somebody a long time in the traditional sense to properly underwrite.
Mm-hmm.
And we can do it automatically.
And so part of your play is being very data driven.
Yes, absolutely. Data is the key. We're able to pull information. Not only are we gathering, we're building our business, but we're gathering data off of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be able to use that to optimize our own processes through the good business that we've brought in.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to that, the information that's out there, we're able to pull just tremendous amounts of data in to onboard good business.
So you're a claims veteran and insurance veteran. Was the company founded by a bunch of people like that?
No, actually, our founder and co-founder were not in the insurance business, so they basically came up with an idea to get into this business through a lot of research,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have an incredible insurance team headed by Rick McCarthy, our chief insurance officer,
Uh-huh.
and he's put in place a lot of veterans from the industry who have recognized over the years that the business could be run different, could be run more efficiently, could be run using technology, and that's essentially what we're doing.
That has to be very different sitting in a room with founders that don't have insurance backgrounds. They probably challenge you to think differently and question why we do things in the claims business, which is probably pretty great experience. Can you talk to a little bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, that's a super great question. It's interesting when you're teaching people about insurance who don't have a background in it. You actually start thinking about things you haven't thought about in a long time because they're really looking at it from a base level. And so that's been actually a great exercise in terms of building out our underwriting and our sales system to building out our claim system. It's forced me to really dial back and think about the granular level of the process of handling claims and running an insurance company. So
it's kind of a blank canvas, isn't it?
It
kind of create your own.
Well, yeah, and you actually have certain expectations or certain assumptions, rather, that you have had about the business. And when people that aren't in the business start to question that, you can either look at it like, well, what do you know? We've been doing this for a long time, or you can start to say, you're right. That may not make sense, so maybe we shouldn't do it that way, and start vetting other ideas. And so it's just been a really great exercise in expanding your mind into what is possible out there.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges our industry has is the technology, because most companies are really built on legacy systems, server farms, stuff like that. So again, it's kind of a blank canvas, right? You can kind of, what I take, probably build your own system, go out and find something that's more cloud-based and all that. I mean, that has to be, again, a very refreshing part of the entire process, is much less claims, is to be in that. Would that assumption be correct?
Yeah, absolutely. The technology out there is amazing. And, it's amazing how fragile systems are out there. And you've got to do things to mitigate that. And I think our customers, I think our regulators definitely want us to be nimble. and to meet the promises that we've promised to our policyholders. And to do that, you've got to have that technology and have backup systems and cloud-based systems and good solid technology that works and that's not fragile.
I'm really intrigued by what you had to say about the mixture of industry veterans like yourself and people who have really no insurance background whatsoever, and having them challenge your assumptions and just the things that you know. I mean, that's one of the things when we all talk as industry veterans, there's many things we don't have to say to each other because we just know it to be true. It's in our foundation of knowledge. And so to have that challenged constantly must be really interesting. Almost, oh gosh, I don't want to go to this meeting
Right.
where they're going to put me up against the wall again.
Well, I think that self-analysis is something that a lot of people are afraid to do. And that's an ego thing. And
Sure.
so I think it's really important to self-analyze especially your thinking, your assumptions about the way the world operates. And as we in so many industries are going forward and using technology, that is constantly being challenged. And if you're the kind of person that can't self-analyze and can't question your own beliefs, sorry, you're not going to make it in this industry and many industries.
One of the interesting things you brought up in our previous conversations is the idea of claims as a sales function.
Oh, yeah.
I think everybody would, most of our carrier audience would acknowledge that the claims experience is super important. It's super critical in retention. But tell us about claims as a sales function and what you're talking about there.
Sure. So yeah, I think that most people in claims understand, retention. We don't want to do things to make this particular insured go away. Treat them right, the best we can, and that kind of thing. And I also think a lot of claims people don't think about even that at all. But we're taking a little bit of a different approach to this. That if we treat an insured exceptionally well, we know that person is going to talk to others. And when a claims department starts thinking in terms of acquisition, I think you got a unique thing going. That's what our focus is to treat people so well, better than their own insurance company, perhaps, or the last insurance company they had, so that they actually think about that and use that as a decision making process.
It's interesting because if I have that customer interaction, if I have a claimant and I'm in my yard and I just had a great experience with you as my insurance company, that potential customer that they're talking to could go and fire the app up and look right away, right? It's a whole nother level of sales. They're hot at that point and they're interested. They can go there, they can get a quote. I mean, that's another dimension that I don't have to go down and visit their agent or make a phone call. They can initiate it, in a self-service manner. That's huge at this day and age we are.
Yeah, absolutely. That technology is definitely there. While we do partner with agents, we also have our own inside Hippo agents that sell policies where you can call in or chat or however you'd like to do that. But yeah, there's a direct to write. You can go online and you can quote a policy very, very quickly with Hippo.
What percentage of your sales happens strictly online with no interaction with an agent or any kind of sales function?
I would say roughly 25%.
Wow.
I would say probably about 50% still use agents. Agents are very, very valuable in the market. People trust their agents. But, there's some people, not just millennials, but people across the board that like the process or the prospect, rather, of buying a policy online.
That's 25%. That's a big number.
It's a little surprising. Yeah, it's a lot. And I think that also goes to how easy our process is. If you tried to get quotes through others, I mean, it can be a really a big deal, a big process. And with Hippo, it's very streamlined.
Let's talk. I've heard you speak about 3 things that get in the way or that limit change or innovation inside of carriers are inside of a claims department, legacy systems, legacy thinking, and issues to do with change. Can you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the market is ripe for a company like Hippo, for companies that are willing to, embrace the changes that are inevitable. And companies like, 470 have also done the same thing. You've embraced the technology that's out there, and the legacy systems out there are, they are what they are. They were great years ago. They definitely were better than the systems before them. I used to handle claims on carbon forms, physical files, and
Yes.
it's I think a lot of us out there, we're like that.
It wasn't that long ago either.
It really wasn't that long ago, no. And
in this century.
Yeah, indeed. And it's really nice, to have a virtual company where I can handle claims wherever my laptop and an internet signal are. And so that traditional systems are definitely, clunky, and they don't lend themselves to a great customer experience. Probably more importantly is the legacy thinking. I don't know if it's fear, if it's ego, exactly what it is, but it's the fear of change is real. And sometimes, the pain that you feel that is known is safer than the unknown potential pain or upside. So, I think that legacy thinking hurts all the way around. And then lastly, just the fear of change, which kind of goes along with legacy thinking as well. It's hard to change. It's a process. You guys have done it. You've changed systems before. It was a challenge. It was a scary thing. It was expensive. It's an investment, and it's just if you're not willing to do that, you're going to fall behind in this market.
Yeah, I would agree. It's I think the thinking is the critical part there, the legacy thinking. I mean, that's a very challenging thing to do. I mean, I've been in this business nearly 25 years, and over the course of the last couple of years, we've really tried to challenge every aspect of how we think and process claims and say, is this the right way to do it? And a lot of it is okay, but it's not necessarily the best right now. And it's a very challenging to walk into meetings and you're questioning everything you've built and designed and done over the years. It's an interesting deal, but it's refreshing to see that. I think the sales channel, to me, having the agents and the app is unique because that traditional agent is still going to be there for a long time, and it adds a tremendous value. But to add that dimension and still acknowledge that both of those are there, I think is a tremendous advantage for you guys.
So definitely. And even from a claims perspective, working with our agents, I don't know, in my history, in my career, and I believe in the industry, claims people don't work with agents very closely. And I just don't know why that is, because when agents have questions about claims, we should be there to help them out. We should be there to give them information. And if they have a problem with a customer, I want that partnership. I want them to be able to say, hey, Mrs. So-and-so is, got some problems and we need to deal with her in a special way.
Especially when they have problems, right?
Absolutely.
They're boots on the ground. They're a lot of times embedded in a community and that feels warm to people, right?
Absolutely. And that's why they go to an agent. They're looking for that comfort, and the agent can't say, oh, well, that's the carrier, they certainly can, but it doesn't give them much credibility placing that business with you. So, I think that, that relationship is really important, that we treat the agents very well and just be there for them, just like we would the policyholder.
You do some very progressive things with the policyholder. I thought that your story about the campfire in California is a really interesting one. Can you share that with us? Oh,
sure. And this technology is out there, but I was impressed how fast we were able to put it together. But the campfire in Paradise, California, we had a number of policyholders that unfortunately had their homes burned down. And as the fire was burning, we were able to pull up CAL FIRE's fire map, which is very detailed and outlines exactly where the fire is and where the hot spots are. And within 10 minutes, we were able to overlay our policyholder map and get exactly the number of customers that we had in the fire zone and those that were threatened by it. And my team and I mobilized, and we spent the weekend calling 100% of our customers that were either in the fire zone or threatened by it. And just to see if they were okay, if there's anything they needed from us. We took 12 of the 15 claims at the time before the policyholder ever called us, which was a really interesting thing.
Yeah. What kind of reactions did you get? Well, first of all, I mean, I live in Sacramento, So that's not far from paradise.
Yeah.
And it was a horrific, terrible event, one of the worst, ever. And so, they must have been, these people were devastated who you were talking to. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, you know, a lot of adjusters get kind of jaded about their job. High pendings, lots of work, overworked. It was interesting to me, when one of my adjusters was talking to a lady who was literally watching her house burn down, and she sobbed on the phone while we talked to her, and just tried to be that comfort for her. And that's where this stuff gets real.
Yes.
When you're dealing with that, this isn't just a typical drain, problem, or just a small claim. This is someone's life who literally just lost everything. And that made a huge impression on us in terms of how we're going to handle proactivity in the future, with whatever it is, wind and hail and fire and all of those things. We have an initiative to put together a great plan to be proactive in the way we handle those.
Speaking of proactive, let's talk about loss prevention. We have an upcoming episode with Gabe Halimi from Flow, the InsureTech Flow. Are you familiar with
Yes.
that? And which is a really interesting device.
Yes.
It's now almost a category of InsureTech devices, water control devices. And where are you guys on prevention? Are you thinking about that? Is that included in your plan?
Absolutely. In fact, our policyholders, we've actually partnered with some companies with IoT devices for motion, for water detection, that sort of thing. Prevention's a big deal. If our customers use those products, then there's discounts, of course, that come with that policy. So I see us continuing to partner with companies that have that technology out there. There's another benefit to it as well, and that's another positive touch during that policy term, where somebody sees that they open their cupboard and they see that water detection device or whatever. That's another positive contact with their insurance company, where most of the time you never hear a thing about your insurance company. So when it comes time to renew your policy, who are you going to remember?
Sure.
And so we do that, as well as some other initiatives that we're working on to make those positive touches and hopefully retain that good business.
It really seems like the customer interaction and the customer touch is something is a very high priority.
Yeah.
And whatever, if that's in a positive or even a stressful situation like a claim, that's impactful.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that a little more? I mean, it's especially in a company like yours that's a growth company now, right? And how that is going to help you.
Yeah, no, I think we live and die by that alone. If we're not contacting our customers and having interactions with them that meet their expectations, or rather even exceed their expectations, then we're behind. We're behind the ball.
So you're not satisfied. I mean, traditionally, I'll speak from my own experience. I never ever hear from my insurance company ever, which doesn't bother me at all. I've never really had any different expectation. Right. I mean, if there's a claim, I'm going to file it. But short of that, nothing. But it sounds like you're taking a different approach.
Yeah, we are. And, some customers are fine, just like you. It doesn't, I don't care if my homeowner's insurance company calls me. But some people like that. And, it's nice to be able to meet their expectation with that or exceed it.
I got to give you props. We're in your home office here or at least your home base in downtown Austin, and beautiful old building, restored. Looks like something we'd see in Silicon Valley. I love the cubicle space, the open concept. We've gone to this concept ourselves, finding team members to be able to look at losses and collaborate a little bit. And you find that helpful? That's kind of a new thing we've started and really have enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a new thing, kind of the Google concept a little bit, but I have found it to be very, very helpful. As a claims person sitting amongst underwriters and salespeople, I hear things, and that gives me opportunities to either correct or teach or train or learn even. And so, I think that this is a great work environment. Even our CEO, we don't have offices. We have these huddle rooms that we meet in, like right now, but we're all out amongst everybody, and that lends itself to to a more cohesive environment. And especially, with claims and underwriting, there tends to be I wouldn't say friction, but there's definitely a division there. And, we work closely with our underwriters and they work closely with us, not to influence, of course, we would never do that, but to learn and to make them better investigators and at placing business with us, and to better understand the claims process and how those decisions affect the policy or the customer, or rather the company.
Well, I think historically some of these different operational functions inside of a company have been very siloed or even adversarial to each other, right? Everybody wants to be the top, the top department.
Sure.
And so it's interesting to hear that you guys are trying to bring down those walls.
Yeah.
And
We're all on the same team, and we try to really foster that as much as we can. Sometimes we're going to make decisions that they may not agree with, but that's our decision to make. And sometimes we're not going to agree with certain business they write, and that's their decision to make. But as long as we understand the overall goal of what we're trying to accomplish here, it's worked out well so far.
There's a lot of people believe in Hippo and what it's doing. I mean, yes, you guys have had very successful seed rounds. Did you say that you're up to, and series, you're up to a Series C, is that correct?
Yes, our C round, we raised $70 million. So I think overall we're about 115, maybe 112 million we've raised.
Yeah. So that was obviously your largest round today.
It was by far.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people betting, this is going to happen.
Yeah, we have some great partners that really believe in us, and they really believe in our team and our technology and what we're doing, and the trajectory we're taking, and the growth that we're seeing is proving that out. And so we're really happy with the way things are going. So
I'm going to ask you a loaded question in that regard, and that is, you must really believe in it. I mean, obviously you're working here and you have a vested interest, but I mean, you're a traditional claims guy. At what point did you look at this and say, this is going to happen?
Yeah, that's I'm definitely 100% all in with this. This has been the best thing for my career on a personal level. I've known years ago that things could be better. I've had conversations with colleagues that we would talk about some of the things we're doing, but back then it was just way too revolutionary. And so, it's this is definitely a good time to be in this business, and I think that we're sort of setting the bar for a lot of what we'll probably see in the future.
So when you look at Hippo, what do you see out 5 years from now?
Well, I see us obviously operating in all the states, and I see us just really having a great proactive plan from the claim side to deal with the catastrophes that are happening, and that will happen across the country. And I don't know, I see us really just being the leader in the industry.
Okay, I think that's a great place to bring this to a close. Such an interesting story. We love the Hippo story, but really, what both Matt and I are sitting here wondering is, do we get a T-shirt?
Yes, you will get a T-shirt. Okay,
because Darin is wearing this really cool Hippo T-shirt, and in fact, we're going to take a picture of it and we're going to put it on our social media, because I'm going to have one and Matt's going to have one apparently, but you guys aren't. So eat your Hippo hearts out is what I say. Well, listen, we've really enjoyed having you with us today, and can we come back and visit again? You guys are this is not a finished book, right? You're writing it. This is not a 100-year-old company. You're writing this. There's still chapters to be written. Yes,
absolutely. And you and Matt are welcome anytime to come to Hippo and chat with us. We're pleased to have you here.
Well, we do appreciate you opening your house today and letting us come in and do this. It's been a pleasure.
Matt, I like Austin a lot, and this is just another reason is. Because of Darin McCarthy.
It is. He's a well of a nice guy. Got a heck of a company that he's with, and what a cool office. 6th Street, Austin. Wow, crazy.
I'm going to say this: if if you would have designed that office, it wouldn't surprise me. It reminded me of something that would have come out of your head.
It would. I'm a little jealous. It's, our office, we kind of had to try to create an old building. He's in an old building, and it's really cool. I mean, it's very tech-centric, and it would be a space I could definitely live in every day. So very cool.
And which is kind of an interesting old and new, there's an old and new theme here. I mean, Darin is a claim veteran, right? But he's working for one of the more new age insurance companies out there.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, when you have, I guess the two primary investors are non-insurance related. So they had an idea, right? And then they went out and got the expertise they needed. And then now you have this new collaboration of people with ideas and kind of old school, knowledge. And he's an old school claims guy. I like him, but he's got new thoughts, right?
Exactly. And that's a great point. And that is that there's a lot of insurance knowledge and know-how, but it's kind of but that's stuck in a stale business model. And when you take you find people who want to do it differently, experience. I mean, this guy is a claim professional, a serious claim professional. He knows claims upside down and backwards, and you plug him into, and he's a willing participant in a new experiment, and you can do really cool things. This is a great example.
It is. And I mean, startups are a lot of work, but what you tend to get in a startup is a lot like what we experience when you're not tied to legacy systems and some of the things that really are kind of chain you down, then the fresh approach and going out and getting the latest software platforms and really using software as a service. I think they have got a competitive advantage right now as everybody's trying to get to that. They start off with a clean slate, and that's huge. Right now, he just has to have patience and build what he needs to the way he wants to build it.
Right, which is what we did. Right. I mean, we came in at a time where it was transitioning from owning your own server farm to renting a server farm, right, to the cloud.
Sure, and then all the the software that is associated with that now that's available. I'm envious. It's you can tell he enjoys working here, and they're growing, and it's going to be very interesting to see what they look like in the next year or two, and how that growth takes place.
Right. Some of the keys that I want to hit on before we go, and that is what he said about their proactive approach, which is really part of their concept of claims is a sales function. It sounds simple, but it's pretty innovative.
It is. And I think we hear that some, but some of the things they've already done, being as small and as nimble as they are, they really, I feel like that's going to be a core competency of them. And that's probably something that they will continue to carry forward. And that's going to be huge for them, I think.
Right. Their claims department, as he said, is newer and just getting off the ground, but it sounds like they're a really aggressive company, like their PIF should grow rapidly. And when he was talking to us about his projections of growth, it was, he's got a big job in front of him.
Oh, absolutely. And I love the model of still using the agency force and mixing it in with the technology. I think that's going to be big because, I agree with him in the fact that people are not ready to get rid of the traditional agents yet, but there's a market out there. So sharing both of that, it should give them plenty of headway to pick up plenty of business in the next year or two.
Exactly. Because even when we asked him, what percentage of your sales are online only? And it's 25%. And that's a big number. But that means 75% isn't strictly online. So why turn your back on that model? And it's obvious why they said no. It's the majority of their sales, right?
What was more interesting is on some of the offline commentary we had is even in that 25 or so percent that is on the app, it's all different age groups. You would think that would be more younger people, millennial based, but it wasn't necessarily, which is very interesting. It's really people that are comfortable with their phones. And I think we see that that's across all ages now. So I think that was a very interesting sidebar that we had with him, is that it's not just our younger generation, our millennials that are using it. So
right, he said they had an 80-year-old do it strictly online. So obviously, it's so simple anyone can do it, right? The caveman could do it. You might
Caveman
say.
can do it. Yes. So I have a question for you. Do we have to, we're on site today. Do we have to leave and run back to Waco very quickly, or do we have about an hour or so?
I think we have an hour. Why do you ask?
Well, I know you're a big fan of barbecue, especially Texas barbecue, and literally 2 blocks away from here is Cooper's Barbecue, which is an all-time favorite. They've opened a branch here out of their Llano location, which is where their first one. So I would like to, if we don't have to hurry back, let's go down to Cooper's and have some Texas barbecue.
Well, you're not going to have to twist my arm because there's 2 things about Texas that mean a lot to me. One is 470, and the other is eating barbecue.
Oh, I thought it was me. Sorry, barbecue.
Well,
I can barbecue though, so that's why you like me.
You're the personification of 470.
Well, let's get this wrapped up so we can walk down the street. Why don't we?
I like that idea. So if you hear us with food in our mouth, we're at Cooper's. Eat your heart out, everybody, because I've heard legendary things about it. Thank you, Darin McCarthy, for being with us today, and thank you, podcast audience. And we'll talk to you next time on FNO InsureTech.
See you later.